Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel with the latest update from this time the Republic of Ireland. A few months ago we reported, actually over the last year or so, we've been reporting on a particular teacher, a Christian teacher in Ireland who's been having some issues with his former school because he got fired, and the authorities in Ireland over the woke agenda and of course the push for a certain type of LGBT sex education in schools with young children. And of course we now have some latest update on that. Some of you might already be familiar with this person and the whole case. Is Enoch Burke, and once again he was taken. Enoch Burke was arrested at Wilson's Hospital School after refusing to endorse and affirm essentially the gender lobby ideology. Now, there was the initial clash that he had with the school and the police was he was initially just suspended and essentially kicked out without proper explanation. Then they decided to completely ban him from the grounds. And he decided to basically become more annoying to the school and the police by trying to go back in to demand answers, to challenge that verdict, that decision. That was the second time he got arrested. But this Christian teacher is not giving up. He simply wants to make sure his voice has been heard and he's actually allowed to ask them serious questions. Obviously, they're not going to allow him to go through to do this, but they are basically portraying him as the bad guy, saying the fact that he wants answers from politicians and the school and the police, that means he's the bad guy. You know, he shouldn't even ask questions. He should just take it. Now, the judge is Judge Barry O'Donnell, who made this decision, who made almost €400,000 between 2016 and 2018, representing Tousi, as a barrister, ordered the arrest. Now, we know that all these organizations have gone completely corrupt. Tousi obviously is the Irish state's child protection agency, an organization saturated with LGBT, plus, minus, all the other stuff, ideology, urging staff recently to learn about cross-dressers, drag performers and everything else, and making acceptance of LGBT and of course the trans ideology a condition for fostering children. A condition. In order to foster a child, you have to. So that's the fascinating part, which is a new version even for liberal societies. For example, Ireland, which by the way, you still have a big chunk of society in Ireland who are traditional, especially the fact that they are Catholic, but they don't matter anymore. They've already been cancelled. It's all about the political establishment. What they say should happen at this point. Now, we do have the video of Enoch Burke being arrested again by the police, and there are some reactions to it as well. Let's go and watch that together, and then we'll come back and get your response.
I have a right to work here.
He has a right.
I have a right to be here. And
You're arresting
not
him.
to tell students they need to tell puberty blockers.
You're arresting him
Not
because
to
he
tell
won't
students
endorse
that they need to take
transgender
puberty
ideology. Shame upon you.
Here at Wilson's Hospital School, Enoch Burke, teacher, been arrested for not accepting transgenderism.
Nor should I. And I'm not going to turn my back on my duty to my students.
I'm not going to turn back on my duty.
No, you don't have a duty to do what's wrong.
No, you never
and to
have a
bring me
duty to
before
do
the
what's
court. To bring me before the court.
Inside those
No,
gates.
to bring me before the
Even though
court.
there's abuse.
This is a
Puberty
disgrace.
blockers.
Children are being
Puberty
taught
blockers.
to tell a young boy.
Surgery.
Yes, surgery, mutilation.
Yes.
Mutilation.
It's a
And
disgrace.
suicide. An
Mutilation.
absolute disgrace.
Mutilation.
An absolute
You're
disgrace.
telling a
Puberty
boy that
blockers.
he's gender
Do you have
neutral.
a conscience?
Yeah, that he has to take chemicals. That he has to
He
take
has broken no
chemicals.
law.
That
He
he has
has
to take
broken no
I'm
chemicals.
going
law.
to be heavy-handed.
No, that he has to
He has
take
broken no
chemicals.
law.
I'm not going to be heavy-handed.
He has broken no law.
Shame upon you.
You have no right.
Shame upon you, Garvey. Shame upon you.
You've no right to do what you're doing.
This is an innocent teacher, a Christian man.
Broken no
And
law.
I won't.
Shame upon you, Garda
Mr.
Síochána.
Burke has broken no law. He has broken no law.
I have a right to my job.
His
I have a right to
constitution.
work here.
He has a right.
I have a right to be here. And
You're
I'm
arresting
not
him.
to tell students
You
they
won't
need to
promote
tell
puberty
puberty
blockers.
blockers.
You're arresting him
Not
because
to
he
tell
won't
students
endorse
that they need to
transgender
take
ideology.
Disgrace.
Shame upon you.
Shame on you.
Shame
on you.
ideology. Shame on
on
you,
you.
man. Shame.
So you've just seen what happened there. We're here at Wilson's Hospital School in Multyfarnham, County Westmeath. Enoch Burke just thrown in the back of a Garda van, locked up, taken away from his place of work. It was demanded of him that he accept, that he endorse transgenderism. And this is the result of it today. He said no, and he's been taken away in a Garda van.
Now, Enoch Burke didn't appear in court on Friday. I was there with Amy, my daughter, and of course we were removed from the court at the end for simply asking Justice Barry O'Donnell, did he not care that children are being abused at this stage in Irish schools? Because using the they pronoun is the first step in puberty blockers, abuse, surgery, terrible agony for young people, maybe regret, suicide.
Yes.
This is a fact.
That's the truth.
Justice Barry O'Donnell sitting there waiting to interrogate my son when he would appear. Now, Justice Barry O'Donnell was nominated last year to be a judge of the High Court by our first gay or sodomite Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, who has since skipped it and nobody knows why. But he was nominated and appointed, of course, by the socialist President Michael D. Higgins to a judge of the High Court. Before that, as a barrister, he had worked for many years with TUSLA. Now, we know that TUSLA are promoters, big-time promoters of transgender ideology,
Yes.
of LGBTQ+, anything you want, transgender ideology. Barry O'Donnell, as a barrister, worked for many years with them. He was one of their most high-paid barristers in 2016 to 2018, earning over, up on €400,000, almost $500,000 of taxpayers' money from TUSLA. Now, TUSLA, the way they work is in camera. The vulnerable family are taken in behind closed doors. No press, no public. Nobody there to stand up for them. The majority of them have legal aid solicitors who are also working for the state. You have Barry O'Donnell, a barrister,
Yeah.
working for TUSLA. Promoters of every anti-Christian, I would say, idea. You will not get a job with TUSLA if you're a real Christian. No. If you believe that God made them male and female, you will not get a job with TUSLA. He was the second highest paid barrister out of 77 barristers, second highest paid in that period of time, earning almost $500,000. What a mockery. What an absolute mockery of justice.
It's the destruction of young people.
Absolute destruction of young people. And my son has been taken now, been handcuffed and been taken to Mountjoy prison again. It's a disgrace on our country. Shame on every teacher. Shame on every teacher who is abusing a child by teaching them such satanic wickedness behind these gates of these schools. Shame upon the parents. Stand up for your children, I would say. Please stand up for your children.
So, the fascinating part about this is you might agree or disagree with Christians like Enoch Burke. You might personally say, we live in a liberal society, and I would like to accept everybody, whether they want to be different genders, or obviously if they're gay or lesbian or whatever. Someone else, a Christian, could say, well, I personally don't agree with it. The whole point of a liberal secular society was supposed to be that both sides and all different sides are supposed to be living together and having a debate in a respectful way and say, okay, as long as you don't annoy me, and I want to know you won't restrict my freedoms, I won't restrict your freedoms. But that's not really the case, because you personally could say, you might be more liberal, saying the fact that that woman would say sodomize, oh, that's very backwards, I don't like it. But she has a right to say it, you have a right to say it. The reason that I'm complaining about this is because when a Christian teacher opposes the gender lobby and their methods of teaching when it comes to whether it's drag queens or specifically when it comes to the different genders and pronouns, that teacher would be suspended, that teacher would be cancelled. It's not just about, oh, this school no longer wants to work with you, you're fired. It's not just that, you'll be cancelled. And if you complain, you'll be arrested. The issue is the double standards. If the teacher happens to be Islamic, they say we have to respect that teacher's faith and religion. Because the Islamic side would say, well, we don't agree with the different genders or pronouns or even being gay. Our government and our establishments, both in the Republic of Ireland and the United Kingdom, would say we have to respect that teacher because that's their faith. Freedom to religion. Same applies to the Islamic families, parents in Birmingham, in Leicester, in Yorkshire, who protested at times very aggressively outside schools for simply teaching sex education. The establishment said you have to respect these families, these parents, because they're Islamic, their faith says, their kids should not be taught this. But if a Christian complains, you won't just lose your job. You will be cancelled on a societal level. You could be arrested. That's one of the main issues that I have. The double standards. And also, you can have a mechanism for simply saying there are liberal schools, there are secular schools to do whatever they want. Then you have Christian schools, they have their method. If you want big government to tell everybody what you should teach or what you shouldn't teach, then what is the point of having any autonomy when it comes to schools? Now, there's a whole conversation to have about faith schools and not having faith schools, or maybe have faith schools but make them independent, not taxpayer funded. Fine, we could always have that debate. I'm very open-minded. Some people will be on this side, some people will be on that side. Be equal. That's the whole point. If the Christians or Jews complain about something, but nobody cares. And that in fact, they will bring them down. We've seen so many times that the Jewish teachers, especially Orthodox ones, and parents complain about certain things. They told them to shut up. Because this is not a Jewish country, right? They said, no, shut up. You just have to take it. Islamic side complain. Oh, no, well, yeah, of course you have to respect. You have to respect their faith. This is one of the main issues. And it isn't really just about the Islamic side. This is simply about the criticism is of the liberal establishment. That is the main point. And when will they learn? Perhaps this is the whole point. It's not about them learning. Also, before we get your reaction, just a quick thing. I need to apologize for later tonight. We were supposed to have Tousi at 10, the evening debrief show, which we have as a summary of headlines. But we just got back, and obviously we're just getting things sorted here. I still got things to do here, so unfortunately we're going to start tomorrow. We might have actually another live stream after this, which means we won't have time to do that short summary of the headlines. But from tomorrow, 11 a.m. UK time, we'll have our morning brief show, and 10 p.m. UK time, we'll have an evening debrief, Tousi at 10, and throughout the day, breaking news live streams. Stephen says, the minute you use the term woke agenda, you lose the argument because you're talking about a nonsense conspiracy theory. So that's fascinating. So obviously Stephen seems to be more on the either liberal side or basically denying that it exists. You simply have to use what they say, what they do as the example. I am not saying there's a woke agenda. They themselves say, and you say, who's they? We've had people, the executives of Disney, publicly saying, and we have seen the videos, they made the speeches saying, we do have a woke agenda. This is literally our ideology. We will change the movie industry and the TV industry. We've had organizations linked to Stonewall in the UK proactively saying, we have an agenda. We want to make this society even liberal, further, essentially push for liberalism. And they said, we want everybody to become woke. That is our mission. They didn't say agenda, they said the woke mission. Woke mission, woke agenda. What's the difference? They said that's what we are doing. And our government brought them in to government departments. You've got private sector doing it and saying it. We've got, of course, the charities saying it and doing it. And Stephen is either still in denial or basically delusional, or maybe he believes in it and he says, actually, it's not an agenda. It's the norm. It's part of humanity. Everybody must be woke. Kamala Harris proactively and publicly said, yes, this is a mission. Everybody must be woke. She said it. I'm not saying it. So it can't be a conspiracy theory when you're simply saying what they are saying, when you're reporting what they're saying. Terence says, Christianity has no unity, sadly. Lately, people show their support online, keyboard warriors. I mean, that's the other thing. Right now, there should be a priority for basic unity. There doesn't seem to be any unity anyway. And there are some certain groups among Christianity where they are less proactive or passionate when it comes to defending these things. Of course, the Catholic side are very much proactive, both in the UK, Ireland, and elsewhere. But certain parts of, for example, Church of England people, they just keep their head down. That's nice. But there comes a point where you have to defend your values, at least your cultural values. Because you might be not really into being practicing religion, but this is your culture. Your cultures here are based on Christian values, and obviously original Judeo-Christian values. That's the whole point of the evolution after Moses. That's where we got to this point. And Jesus coming. And of course, whether you believe in it or not, the culture is based on those values. And everything about it, even the art, the Christian art, everything that happened, the structure, discipline, family values, hard work, free market, free speech, individual liberty, all these things, and traditional values of community spirit, all these things did not come from Buddha or Muhammad. Now you might say, well, they might be saying the same things. But the societies and tribes that followed Rome had a different outcome than those who didn't. There was an evolution. The Persian Empire, civilization, then the Greeks, then the Romans, and everything else that happened after. It was an evolution to the West. Somebody needs to stand up to it, for it. What's up says, they are all responsible for this nonsense. Governments are a disgrace. Governments are always a problem, never the solution. Another political prisoner, Candles says, and Sue says, disgusting. I agree with Enoch Burke. How can you endorse something you do not believe in? But that's the key point. And there must be, just like how you need patient's choice in healthcare systems, you need a parents' choice when it comes to education. You also need teachers' choice when it comes to education. And there doesn't seem to be when it comes to one side. Tony Frost says, the homeschooling is the new bomb shelter. Let's go. There's a couple of super chats as well. John Baldwin, thank you, Mr. Baldwin, saying, I trust you got my message about CH to your team. I'm not sure about this. I can have a look. Don't know where the message was. All things says, my opinion on transgenderism. If they want to change their look, fine. If they think that changes their gender, fine. I have my own opinion on that, but everyone has the right to their opinion. End of. But the key point is, I don't care what you call yourself or what you dress like and what you do in your own life. A couple of things is an issue. That's why when it comes to modern society, nobody has a problem. No normal person has a problem if you're gay or lesbian. The problem with these groups is that when it comes to different genders and pronouns, when you try to cancel women or undermine women when it comes to sports or when it comes to women's safety, of course, in terms of public toilets has been used as a caricature of the actual debate. It's more than this, beyond public toilets. But kids and children, puberty blockers, things like that. These are the issues that we have. An adult, whatever they do, and you can have a debate. Some people could be in favor of it. Some people could be against it when it comes to people changing their genders every 2 minutes. There could be an academic discussion and also a philosophical discussion about why, even as adults, a lot of them, that they said if you allow them to obviously to change genders, then they will be less suicidal, but the suicide rate still goes up. That didn't clearly fix it. When they stopped the therapies, the actual psychological therapists didn't really go well. But you're an adult. Don't care what you do. Freedom. Children. When you come for kids, that's the problem. When it comes for women, that's the problem. It's not cosplay. Women are women. What you do in your personal life, I don't care. As an adult. My MP, Chris Ward, and David Lammy have been contacted. I am Christian and refused to convert. And I feel ignored. I was tortured for over 9.5 years. Teenage Wasteland says, finally caught a live stream. Well, welcome. Unfortunately, you came quite late because we're going to take a quick break now. We're gonna. I'm just waiting for more information about what's going on right now as we speak in New York City, in Manhattan, because there's absolute chaos on the streets as usual. We'll keep you guys posted on that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tousi, and we are the media.